Yo, what's going on guys? In today's video I want to bring you a guide for my 3.19 League Starter build, which is going to be Spectral Helix into General's Cry. And the reason why I decided to play General's Cry is because whenever I plan my League start, I always plan my strategy first and then I choose a build for the strategy. And my strategy is gonna be something based around boss rushing. I'm not like super sure what I'm gonna exactly do. It's all gonna depend on the economy. So I'm basically gonna run through a map as fast as possible, kill a map boss, and on my way do some additional stuff. Maybe heists, maybe essences, and obviously Lake of Calandra tablets. And that's why I decided to go for this build, because it has very good single target and it is moving very fast. But it has a very bad clear speed and pretty bad survivability. So if you are planning to do something that requires two of these things, this is not a build for you. But if you are planning to do something very fast or maybe some kind of bossing, it is a pretty nice build for that. So I want to give you a few showcases. So first one is gonna be General's Cry with this budget. This is level 90 and it's somewhere between 5 and 10 exalts budget. And then I'm gonna show you on a little bit higher with Brass Dome and Paradoxica. And then I'm also gonna show you the Spectral Helix versions. And I'm probably gonna play Spectral Helix for quite a long time, probably up to level 85, 90. I'm probably gonna finish my Atlas progression on Spectral Helix. So in case you don't know how the build works, you're basically gonna use General's Cry, which is gonna summon Mirage Warriors that are gonna attack once with Blade Flurry, and to summon them you need to use Cyclone with Desecrate, because you need corpses to summon the Mirage Warriors. So the gameplay is gonna look something like this. You press left click with General's Cry and you hold it, and then you also start holding Cyclone, and this way you're just gonna spin around, summon Desecrate, and summon Mirage Warriors, which are gonna just attack once. On top of that, as you can see, we have a lot of rage, which means you can sustain Berserk pretty much 100% of the time. Sometimes it's gonna fall off, but most of the time it is gonna be up. So for the showcase, I'm gonna use this setup, which is level 90 with Tabula and Ichimonji, and then I'm gonna swap to Brass Dome with Paradoxica, which is a little bit higher of investment, and this gear is probably around 10 exalt mark, maybe a little bit less. It's gonna really depend on prices of Shield and Rislafa, and Shield is pretty much needed for this build. So first let me show you a map. So again, for a mapping, I would mostly just run in, kill a map boss and then leave, but I'm gonna show you here how the clear would look like. I'm actually gonna remove Delirium because it lowers my performance by quite a lot. So for clear, it's not like super bad, but it's definitely not the best clearing build. You can definitely increase your clear by equipping Asenath gloves, which is gonna give you the explode mod. So here, let me kill the essence. So for single target it is pretty nice, but when there is multiple targets, it's definitely gonna reduce your single target by quite a lot. Because the warriors are gonna attack other targets as well. So for single target, I'm summoning Totem, placing my mark, and then Berserk, and just kill a boss. And it's dead. So I'm not gonna full clear map, just to make this video a bit shorter. Now I'm gonna show you a single target, which is what matters the most with this build. So I'm gonna do Maven. I'm gonna do two phases. First one is gonna be with this setup, and second one with Brass Dome and Paradoxica. So again, I'm gonna start with pressing my totems, then Berserk, Mark, and now just spin around. So as you can see, single target is not crazy good, but it's still good enough to kill endgame bosses. And it's definitely gonna increase by quite a lot once you get Paradoxica. And also, as you could see, like I mentioned earlier, survivability is not super amazing too, especially without Brass Dome. With Brass Dome you actually can tank quite a lot more. Mostly because of +5 maximum resist, which is gonna be pretty hard to get next league because of increased prices of Divine Orbs. So for the second phase, I'm just gonna die, and I'm gonna swap to Paradoxica. Also, by the way, this setup is with very bad gems. As you can see here, my Blade Fury is level 18, General Scry level 17, 19, 18, my Auras same thing, so it's definitely not a proper setup, very budget version. And General Scry, Auras. Okay, so now let me show you a second phase with Paradoxica. And Paradoxica increases your damage by like almost 100%. When I check my PoB, and I'm gonna show it to you later, with Paradoxica you pretty much deal like double the damage, so that's gonna be like very important thing when it comes to investing into this build. Basically, your first item you're gonna buy after you get everything else that is pretty much required for a build. Okay, so again, totems, mark, berserk, and just rush. Spin around, I mean. And I could definitely tank much more stuff. And Maven died almost instantly. So yeah, much faster done with without Paradoxica. So now let me show you Spectral Helix, which is the build that I would progress my Atlas with. So here is a Spectral Helix setup. So this is the same character, so level 90, and to basically simulate the moment where you would enter a map, I removed 22 passive points, so this is basically level 68. We have almost 4k life, and everything else is just rare items with life and resists, tabula, and well, this probably should also be a rare belt with a lot of life and resists. And my weapon is Karowi Chopper with 500 physical DPS. So this is what you should expect to have when you would enter a map. As a showcase, I'm gonna do one tier 8 map and one tier 16. And to be honest, tier 16 is probably gonna look awful because at that point you probably should swap to General Scry. I probably should play with this build up to maybe tier 14. Tier 16 actually could be decent once you have additional like 20 passive points. So again, this is tier 8, and the gameplay of Spectral Helix, you basically cast your Spectral Helix, and then for clear, because it doesn't have that great of a clear, for clear you're gonna use Call of Steel, and Call of Steel is basically gonna detonate all of the impales around you and deal damage around the targets. So here I'm gonna use Spectral Helix, and now you can see the detonations. So it's kind of like a 2-button playstyle. It's not super needed. You can, like for example here, I can show you now I am not using the Call of Steel. So it's not like super needed, but it can definitely improve your clear by a lot, especially when there's a lot of monsters together around each other. This way you get more out of the explosions. So now let me show you the single target. I'm gonna reach a boss. So here it is. It's kind of like with General Scry, you also want to place your totems, berserk, and just attack. So in tier 8, single target is good enough. Let me clear them up a little bit more, just so you could see. And survivability is also not the best. Obviously we are playing Berserker, which means we don't have that great of defenses. So here's a map showcase. Now let me go to tier 16, which again is probably gonna look pretty bad with this amount of investment and only with level 68. Let's do a Harbinger. For Harbinger, Call of Steel is pretty nice because it can detonate a lot of impulse at the same time. So I'm gonna play carefully here. I'm not gonna like go into the middle, and I'm gonna constantly move around so I don't die. And I died from bleed, I believe. So, as you can see, it is still possible to do tier 16 with this setup, but it's not gonna look super easy. Let me go to a map boss so I can show you a single target. And press totem, berserk. And it is still possible to kill a tier 16 map bosses. It's just not gonna be super fast. And chaos damage is also pretty bad for this build because it is pretty hard to get chaos resists, especially on a General Scry version. We go in back again.
My mana is gone.
I'm just getting one-shotted. But with this build, you don't really need to stand in a melee range of the build. You can stay a little bit further away from bosses, and your Spectral Helixes are gonna eventually reach a boss anyway. So, that was it. And again, at this point, you probably are gonna have like 15 more levels, which I would definitely invest into defenses, like some additional here, here, maybe some here, and so on. So now let me show you the PoB. So for leveling, in the notes, you can see all of the leveling progress, and in the skill gems, we're gonna start with splitting steel. Here it is. And then eventually at level 12, you move on to Spectral Helix. Then in maps, you're gonna use a 6-link with life tap, and you're gonna use Herald of Purity, Determination, Dirt Banner with, again, you need Splitting Steel just so you can get Call of Steel skill. And before that, before you start to use Brutality, in previous acts, you're gonna use Herald of Ash, because it is actually gonna give you a pretty nice clear. In maps, you're gonna need a little bit more single target, so you're gonna go for Brutality, so then you're gonna drop Herald of Ash because it's not gonna give you any damage. And again, to be able to use skills without any mana cost, you're gonna use life tap here, and also with the Lip Slam. So here it is. Blood Rage for attack speed and frenzy charges, Molten Shell with cast and damage taken. On top of that, cast on the portal is pretty important for this build and for softcore, because we're gonna die quite a lot. And here is another 6 socket setup, probably in your weapon, so Berserk, Enduring Cry, Flesh and Stone with a Maim, or you can just link a Maim to Ancestral Protector. It depends what do you want, but you can also link it to both of them. And Vulnerability just to cast yourself. In terms of tree, you can also see the progression. So the most important thing is to get the Hatchet Master as soon as possible, because we're gonna get Onslaught on kill, which is gonna let you drop the Onslaught gem in your 4-link. So we're gonna go for Spectral Helix, chance to bleed, faster attacks, and Maim or Vicious Projectile. It really depends what kind of gems and what kind of colors on your gear you're gonna get. So the most important one is Spectral Helix and Vicious Projectile, but Vicious Projectile we actually can't get on a Berserker. You can only get it if you do Library, or if maybe some friend is gonna buy it for you in Act 2. But the best setup would be Spectral Helix, Vicious Projectiles, chance to bleed, and probably faster attacks. Maim is gonna be higher single target, but faster attacks helps a lot with just moving fast through a campaign. You're not gonna spend as much time attacking. As a first ascendancy point, I went for Aspect of the Carnage because it's just a ton of damage, and then for Crave the Slaughter for Rage, and then for Rite of Ruin. For Uberlap, you probably are not gonna even choose anything. Once you get Uberlap, you're gonna swap to General Cry because there isn't really anything for this build as a Uberlap option for Spectral Helix. And we are playing non-crit, which means you go for a Resolute Technique, and we go for Impale. We basically have 100% chance to Impale, thanks to these nodes. We actually have, I believe, 94% chance, but it's good enough. And that's basically it. Another important thing is Lord of Steel. Well, it's not super important, but it is pretty nice to have, is this jewel, so it gives you a bit better clear with your Call of Steel. And this is level 87 tree, so if you are gonna progress through a map, these are the points I would go for. In terms of items, just like I mentioned, it's just everything rare items with life resist, tabula, and weapon with just as much physical damage as possible. And in terms of jewels, just Lord of Steel. So this is my first PoB, and we have like 800k DPS. Now let me go to the second PoB, which is the General Cry. So here it is. For General Cry, I would do the swap around level 90. So here we are simulating level 91. And to do the swap, I would start with just Ichimonji, which is the best budget weapon for this build. Red Blade Banner, Abyssus, Hyri's Amulet, and that's probably it. After that, you can go for Rislafa, Brass Dome, and eventually Paradoxica. And here I did include some of the options of the items that you can go for. So here, for example, in terms of belts, if you look at the DPS, we have like 13 million DPS, and if we swap from Rislafa to Burst Girdle, we actually don't even lose that much DPS, we actually even gain a little bit. And Magnat is also a pretty nice option, especially if you're gonna be able to reach 400 strength. So we don't even have to go for Rislafa, and good Rislafa is gonna be hard to get because of the lower divine drop rate. But important thing to notice is that Magnat is not gonna, or Magnate, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's not gonna give you any bonus damage if you're gonna go for Paradoxica, because Paradoxica always gives you double damage. So this doesn't do anything. And Burst Girdle is very good with the Rite of Ruin, because it's gonna double the effect of the Rage. But when we are playing a budget version General Cry, you're actually gonna go for Blitz, because attack speed is very important. You want to always have 10 attacks per second, because the way Blade Flurry works is that it is channeling, and the longer you channel, it deals more damage. So you want to deal full damage of the Blade Flurry before Mirage Warriors disappear. So it's very important to get 10 attacks per second, and if I didn't have Blitz charges, I would have a little bit less than that. So you start with Blitz, and then eventually, once you have 10 attacks with Rite of Ruin, then you swap to that. In terms of cluster jewels, Battle Hardened, Furious Assault, Master the Fundamentals are the most important ones. Obviously, at the league start you might have to just settle on 2 of them, but the important one is Master of Fundamentals, because you're gonna struggle with resist on this build, because we are using so many uniques. It's gonna be hard to get rings that I have here in the PoB, which are like triple resists. You're probably gonna have something worse. And the most important ones are the medium ones, because we can get Intimidate from just using the General Cry. We can get free Onslaught, which we are no longer gonna get with swords, because with Spectral Helix we are getting Onslaught from Axe Nodes. and with General Scry we are no longer getting it. So lead by example is very important. On top of that, mob mentality, this is gonna give you pretty much guaranteed all endurance, power, and frenzy charges, which is also very big. In terms of priority, I probably would go for lead by example as a #1 priority, then mob mentality, then Howling Shout, and then provocator. It doesn't matter what combinations you have. You might have just one with Howling Shout and lead by example, and second one with mob mentality and provocator. Doesn't really matter. The provocator again is the least important one. In terms of jewels, fluid motion is pretty good because we actually are gonna struggle with dexterity, so it's a big jewel. In terms of rare, you're just gonna go for some life and resist, or maybe crit multi if you can get one of them. Replica Conqueror efficiency is pretty big because we actually need a lot of mana cost reduction. So for your Cyclone is gonna cost a very low amount of mana, so you need only one ring with -3 channeling skill cost. This is gonna let you use your Cyclone for free. And then you need one ring with -7 mana cost and Replica Conqueror efficiency, and this is gonna reduce mana cost of all of your other skills, including the General Scry, to 0. If you can't get it, if it's maybe expensive, just remove Curious Truth and get Rare Amulet with minus mana cost. And Harry's Truth is also a pretty big item because it's gonna give you 22 level precision. It is giving a lot of dexterity and a lot of crit multi, and it lets you use precision with lower cost. Because that's actually a pretty big thing this league. We are losing mana reservation efficiency in here, so which basically means we are gonna struggle with auras. So in terms of auras, we are gonna use Determination, Pride, Dread Banner, and Blood and Sand, and we still have 11% mana unreserved. But once you swap to Paradoxica, as you can see, we're gonna have less mana cost reduction because you're no longer gonna use Ichimonji, which gives mana reservation efficiency. And one thing you should notice is the damage. 13 million DPS, and when you swap to Paradoxica, 24. So good Paradoxica with increased physical damage and attack speed is gonna pretty much just double your damage. So this is why it is the most important upgrade to go for after you get your Ichimonji. Unfortunately, your attack speed is gonna drop a little bit, so you're gonna have to invest your attack speed into your attack speed somewhere else. And you can get it from gloves, you can get it maybe from a flask. I actually don't have a flask here with attack speed, so that could be a good option. Lion's Roar can be a pretty good damage increase in terms of flasks. And that's basically it. And again, for the chest, you're gonna just start with Tabula and then eventually move on to Brass Dome. There is also a jewel that you can go instead of Fluid Motion, which is the Brutal Restraint. It is also gonna give you some dexterity because it adds +2 dexterity to every point, but it's also gonna transform this point into Second Sight, which gives you 25% more critical sections. Blind doesn't really matter because you are blinded, not your Mirage Warriors, which means you're not gonna struggle with accuracy anyway. And as you can see here, it gives you quite a lot of damage. So that's another investment you can go for after you get your Paradoxica. Let me swap back. And in terms of Watcher Eye, your first Watcher Eye should probably just be Impale, Inflict last 2 additional hits when using Pride. That's pretty much the only important one. And so yeah, that's basically it in terms of a tree. There is a lot of other upgrades you can go for. This build can reach even up to like 150, maybe even 300 million DPS, but that requires a lot of investment, like boots with Tailwind, Elusive, and so on, eventually rare chest with additional crit, additional curse, and so on, Forbidden Flesh and Flame, Impossible Escape. So I decided to not include these items in this PoB, because to be honest, these items are pretty expensive and this is a League starter version, so I didn't go for that. But obviously you can just check PoE Ninja what people are going for during later stages of the league if you are looking for additional investment. I am gonna do quite a lot of leveling runs. We still have few days before the league starts, so in case you wanna see how to play with this build, you can check out my Twitch channel. Link is in the description. I'm gonna do a few practice runs before the league start. And that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.